Makes a bucket and a foul. Breakaway. Io.
Oh, meet me at the rim and don't be late.
Give me the hot sauce. Did you not get the memo? Derek Rose can go upstairs.
Oh, loose ball. Gimme. The steal. Wait for the lead. Yeah. Big time play. Big time play. Gimme for the win. Go! My God. I cannot believe this. Improbable.
Hey everybody, time for a brand new edition of the Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast. We hope you checked out our instant analysis of the draft pick, Noah Essenge, the other night. I saw over 15,000 views on YouTube, so we thank everybody for checking that out.
Hey, listen, it was breaking news. You know, we try to stay, abreast to the news, and normally we don't report anything like everybody else. But being it was the Bulls draft, we thought that the Bulls Nation needed to hear what our opinion was, even though our opinion doesn't matter. But
it matters.
I called that though. I called Noah. I was going to go out there. I called Essenge. I called him. No one listened to me. I said, This is a kid who was rising up the draft boards. A lot of people thought he was going to be in the top 10. Fell to the Bulls at 12. I was hoping the way it was shaking out that we would have got the kid from Duke, the big kid from Duke.
He almost fell.
He almost fell to us because the two teams that were in front of us didn't necessarily need him. And, man, I was like, the basketball guys failed us again, man. They punished us.
Kamon Maluach went to Phoenix at 10. Phoenix did need a center, though. They got all those stars.
that was for the Kevin Durant trade. That's the reason why they got him.
It would have been Houston.
It would have been just Houston. Houston wouldn't have drafted him because they have Sangoon there, who's 24, 25 years old.
They re-signed the big guy. From,
Steven Adams. And so they really didn't need him. So that's why I forgot that pick went over to Phoenix
in the
Durant trade. Yeah. I was so disappointed. But, listen, at the end of the day, at the 12th pick, you have to get the best available player. No one knows what's going to happen. Yeah. We got lucky last year with Modest falling to 11, and it panned out for us really well.
This kid could be really good, too. You might have your two forwards of the future with Essenge and Modest.
Well, if you just go off of the intangibles, okay, for this, not even talk about the playing yet, just go off the intangibles. He's 6'10" with shoes off. We always hear this, the guy was 5'9" with shoes on.
I'm playing barefoot this year.
Now, he's legit 6'10", Bulls Nation, with shoes off. So that means he's probably about 6'11" with shoes on.
He's 18 and a half. He's still growing.
And he's still growing. He has a chance to probably reach 6'11", 7 feet tall and put on some weight and be a very good stretch forward. Now, it's going to take some time offensively because he's a little raw.
Yep.
But I told people, when people asked me about it, I said, listen, the Bulls are not, let's be honest, the Bulls are not winning a championship next year, okay? They may not win a championship in the next 5 or 10 years. But what you're doing is you're putting yourself in position to get to that level. Mm-hmm. And you got to draft right. You have to hit home runs in the draft. I mean, there's been some major misses, okay? Let's just be honest. And a lot of teams have gone through major misses. That's what the draft's all about. You think this kid's going to pan out for you, then all of a sudden he doesn't. And, you move him, trade him somewhere else, maybe he goes somewhere else and does well. But at the same time, when you hit a home run, which I think right now is still early in Modest's career, but at least we know the Bulls are on base.
He showed a lot.
The Bulls got a base hit with him. Yeah. Okay, now we don't know how far around the base he's going to go, but they got a hit on him.
All right, so Stacey mentioned breaking news that we had on Wednesday with the draft. Dun, 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 dun. We are recording this brand new episode on Saturday afternoon. Breaking news we woke up to: Lonzo Ball traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers in exchange for 24-year-old Isaac Okoro. Ironically, Isaac Okoro was the 5th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, right after the Bulls selected Patrick Williams. So we got back-to-back guys who have been disappointments with their original team. Okoro's averaged 8 points a game for his career. He's a 35% three-point shooter. He's considered an excellent perimeter defender, but he kind of fell in and out of favor. They had the coaching change in Cleveland. J.B. Bickerstaff really liked Okoro. He called him one of the better perimeter defenders in the NBA, but then he came out and they went to a more offensive-minded system, and his playing time was really cut this past year. But he's 24 years old. He can run. He's a good athlete. I think what they're thinking is that he can play in this fast-paced offense, and maybe with a change of scenery, he'll reach his potential here in Chicago.
Well, I'm a big fan of Lonzo. I hate to see that happen. The guy has battled back from so much adversity, proven so many people wrong. And I thought, this year after they signed him during the season last year, that he was going to stick around and he'd be a great piece. He'd be a great piece to this young team. And he's still young. It's not like Lonzo's in his 30s. He's still a young player. And he's got a lot of basketball left. I hate to see him go. I'm a big fan of the kid. He's a 3-and-D guy, and it's one of those same situations, Mark, that Alex Caruso was in. You know, Bulls trade him to a contender, a team that has a chance to win a championship. You know, whether they did that, you know, looking out for Zoe, we don't know, but it works out that way. He's got a chance with that team. When they're healthy, that team was the best team in the Eastern Conference last year, was picked with Boston to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. So with all the injuries that are going on with the main teams coming into this season, they're the healthiest team in the Eastern Conference, and they've got to be the favorite going into, you know, this season. And adding a guy like Lonzo Ball, if healthy, it enables you to play him in multiple positions. You can play a 3-guard lineup because Zoe is 6'6". He can play small forward and still be your point guard. He's a huge upgrade over Ty Jerome. Okay,
and they're expecting Ty Jerome's going to leave.
Yeah, he's going to have to leave because he's not going to get no playing time with Lonzo Ball there. And he did a great job. Not knocking him as a player, he did a very good job for Cleveland. But I think they fell sour
more of a
with him.
scoring guard.
I think they felt sour with him during the playoffs. He struggled defensively in the playoffs. You know, Tyrese Halliburton was eating him up, and you know that could have been a situation for Lonzo. And I think what they look at Lonzo is that here's a guy. Is considered one of the better guards in this league when he's healthy. Everybody knows now his knee is healthy. It's not a knee issue now. So it was a wrist issue last year. If he can just stay healthy and avoid these little knick-knack injuries, he'll be a huge asset for that team. Again, he'll be able to play multiple positions, and he's a 3-and-D guy. He can knock down threes, and he can defend anybody on the floor. You don't have to double when Zoe's on the floor. So you can play him at small forward, and he'll be able to hold his own.
Remember, Cleveland lost in the second round. They got caught in that Indiana Pacer buzzsaw with Halliburton making, magical shots at the end of the game. So they lost in the second round, but they weren't healthy. Their point guard, Darius Garland, had a toe injury. He had surgery earlier this month. He's expected to miss about 5 months, so he may miss the start of the regular season. Now, what they'll probably do is Zoe will play a lot of minutes early. Then they'll probably put him on ice and get him ready for the playoffs.
Well, it's going to be a field for him, though, because I think if he's healthy, he's going to play. He's going to be in the rotation. I'm sure they're have a sour taste in their mouth from last year. This is a team that was supposed to beat Indiana, a team that's supposed to be in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they should have been. They were the best
Mobley
team.
Was banged up. Mitchell was banged up.
Oklahoma City and Cleveland were the 2 best teams in the NBA last year. Mm-hmm. That was supposed to be the finals. But as you know, things don't always appear the way they're supposed to appear. They lost to a really hot-playing Indiana team. But they've got everybody coming back, their main core group coming back. They're 2 bigs who are very, very good rebounders, shot blockers. Mobley is taking that next step. He's inching close to stardom. You know, he was Defensive Player of the Year. Was he Defensive Player? I think he was Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, I'd have to check.
Yeah, I think he was. So you got that coming back, and you got Donovan Mitchell, who's going to be motivated to get this team out of the second round, because anytime you lose when you're favored and you get knocked out that early, it just your whole summer's ruined. You know, your whole summer's ruined. These guys are sitting back. You know, they're working hard right now, trying to, remember what happened to them, using that as motivation. You get a guy like Zoe, who will probably have a chip on his shoulder. Like, hey, I came all the way back, and now I got traded. So now, okay, cool. Now he's got a chance to play for a ring, because that's what Zoe wants. Zoe's all about winning. Zoe doesn't care about stats. He doesn't care if he's starting or coming off the bench. Zoe is all about winning. And when you bring that kind of guy into your organization, like a Caruso, you saw the difference Caruso made with that Oklahoma City team. He may not have played early because of injuries and all that, and a lot of people were questioning, that was a bad trade. And I kept telling my friends in Oklahoma City, I'm like, hey, wait till the playoffs. When the games matter, he'll be ready to go. And what did you see? He was ready to go, and I think Zoe will be the same way. Now, Okoro, I like him. I liked him in Cleveland. I think when you look at what he can bring to the table, he's an athlete, high motor, high energy, and that's what this team needs. We've always, like last year, when you didn't have a Javonte Green. Javonte Green was so big for this team as far as when the team was flat, he'd always come out and give you that energy. The Bulls really didn't have that person last year that comes out there and is going to bring it no matter what everybody else is doing. Okoro is that guy. And he's better than that. He's a better player than that. He's a guy that can get out and run. He's shooting the ball a lot better than what he did when he first came in this league from Auburn. But one thing, you're going to get a tremendous athlete, and you're going to get a defender. And this is one of the things the Bulls need, is a wing defender, because there are so many dynamic wings out there, and there are many nights the Bulls are overmatched on the other team's wing. Now you got a kid that's about good size, 6'6", 6'7", strong, built like a linebacker. He'll get after guys.
And he signed for 2 more seasons, so that's going to cut into the Bulls' cap space for next summer. But I always thought that's kind of something that's been over-talked about. I mean, they're talking about carving out cap space. The league now has become sign and trade and straight trades. You're not seeing many guys sign as outright free agents anymore. So I think it's nice to have the cap space. You can work that in terms of making deals, but I don't think you're going to be seeing too many teams changing, based on, I'm going to make you a max contract offer to swap teams.
Well, it all depends on where you're going, who the coach is, and what the system is. Guys are not just good. Guys who are coming from winning programs who are now experiencing unrestricted free agency. They're not going to take a step back and go to a team that's not on the rise. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I can stay right here. I'm playing.
Well, it's like Brooklyn has cap space this summer. Who wants to go to Brooklyn and play on a losing team?
I mean, the city of Brooklyn is nice. New York is nice.
The quality
nightlife.
Of the team. Yeah.
But if you're not winning, and you're years away from winning, and let's say you're a guy in the 30s, like let's say you were Kevin Durant, 34, 35-year-old player who wants to change teams, different, just change teams, different place. Maybe I'll like it somewhere else. He's not going to places that are not winning.
Right.
He's going to go to places winning.
And all the top guys kind
of. And if you saw his list, there were none but teams that were playoff caliber teams. Miami was the only one that was like the fringe, but who wouldn't want to play in Miami?
Right. So, Whispers, I saw on your computer, were you researching for us? Did you check
I didn't find Defensive Player of the Year there.
You just type in who was the Defensive Player of the Year on Google, it'll come up.
Oh, yeah, I was just looking at Ball's stats here.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying, who was the Defensive Player
So
of the Year?
what do you think about the trade? Let's get some analysis from Timmy Whispers, the ball for Okoro.
I look at it from that injury perspective. You and I were talking about that earlier, and I think that is something to be concerned about. And, he's had a whole history of it through his career. And with that knee surgery that he had, that debridement, which is most people have not had success coming back. He has, but it's something to keep an eye out for. And did they know something, I guess, it could be a question. I don't know. Or they know it's going to be limited mileage and limited minutes.
I don't know if they knew anything. I think they were confident bringing him back. I thought he was going to be an insurance policy just in case they didn't get Giddey to re-sign.
Sure.
But I think with his history, last year, the wrist injury, keeping him out, almost the rest of the season, it was bothering him all year long. And now these guys, the thing about these guys nowadays is that everybody's got a podcast now. They spend more time on their podcast than getting themselves, ready to play basketball, getting themselves healthy. I'm not saying that was the case with Zoe, but you see with you see that, Paul George and all these guys have these podcasts. They spend so much time on those podcasts. Your day job is basketball,
right?
Not podcasting. Okay, so your main focus should be basketball, and I think a lot of these guys have lost focus on that. They enjoy it because podcasting is fun. It's fun. You get to sit with your friends, you get to talk about basketball all day long and have a good time. But at the end of the day, your day job is basketball. That's what you get paid for. That's enabling you to have a podcast. So you can't lose sight of that, and you have to start focusing on your craft and getting that to where you want it to be. Because at the end of the day, when your career is over, you look back on it and you'll say, man, I wish I would have done this differently. I wish I would have, played, practiced differently. I wish I would took things a little bit more serious. It's too late now.
Yeah, Evan Mobley was the Defensive Player of the Year this
See, that's
past
what I
season.
thought.
So, yeah. So, Stacey's on the ball.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And that was a really good squad. Kenny Atkinson came in his first year as head coach, and he really gave them a lift. I think that they were also one of the better offensive teams throughout the season.
They had a good –
J.V. Bickerstaff was more of a defensive mentality. They really kind of opened up the offense.
They also had a good unit. They all played well together. Garland and Mitchell learned how to coexist. Yeah. That was a problem.
And Lonzo fits really nice there.
Well, because Lonzo is unselfish. He's a selfless player. He's not there to get shot. He's not there to score. I'll do what you need me to do, but I'm going to make winning plays. He's going to make everyone around him better. Those Cavaliers, everybody knows Lonzo Ball. They know what they're getting. That's why they went out and got him. They know that they ran in trouble last year because Ty Jerome, and I'm not blaming it all on Ty Jerome, but their second unit of guards struggled. They struggled against Indiana, keeping guys in front of them. The size and length of Halliburton really bothered Ty Jerome, and the athleticism bothered him. He got beat off the dribble so many times in that series, and then they didn't shoot the ball well. You can't blame everything on Ty Jerome. Okay, they didn't defend well, and they didn't shoot the ball well, and that was a recipe for disaster. And I think they overlooked Indiana. I think they looked at Indiana as like, oh, Because the first game, they were making jokes about Halliburton's father putting shirts on the chairs and stuff like that. And then when the Indiana came in and got game 1, it was like, oh, okay, well, they won't get game 2.
Yeah.
And then, but you're missing 2 of your starters.
Yeah.
How in the world do you
They
expect?
were beat up in that series.
how do you expect to win a playoff series without your starting point guard Garland and without the defensive player of the year, in Mobley? You're not going to win. I don't care who you bring off the bench, no matter how good they were during the season, they're not going to win that series, and they didn't.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of movement starting on Monday as the beginning of the free agent negotiating period, 5 o'clock Chicago time. Not a lot of teams have cap space. Brooklyn's the only one that can really sign a big player outright, but unlikely that any big free agent is going to go there. A couple of minor moves on Saturday before we started our taping. We talked about the Cavaliers. Ty Jerome likely to leave. They did re-sign Sam Merrill, a shooter off the bench, a guard. I believe I saw it was like 4 years, $36 million, $38 million. You got a lot of money to stay there. Cleveland's going to be a second apron team, so they're going to be their team for quite a while. And the Miami Heat re-signed or agreed to terms with Davion Mitchell. He's going to get 2 years, $24 million. So I know you like Mitchell, but
love Mitchell.
Yeah, they're committing a lot of money. They want to try to make a move. They've been rumored to be a team that's going to try to work a sign and trade for Jonathan Kuminga because they lost out on Durant.
Well, they don't have a lot of assets. That's the problem with a lot of these. Everybody wants to make a move, but what do you have to offer? I mean, you're going to have to give up, one of your rotational players that you don't want to part with, to get a Kuminga. Your draft pick, you're going to have to give draft picks in, 2072. Who's going to take them draft picks?
Right.
Because don't tell them what the league will be like. You know what I'm saying? So if you can't give me next year's draft and the next 5 years, I'm not taking no picks from 2042. I don't want those picks. So don't tell them what those picks will be.
They're trying to move out Wiggins to create some cap space, but Wiggins is not a really desired player.
They're trying Wiggins to L.A. They're trying to move him to L.A. And so to get Hachimura and Connect, that's what the Miami Heat want. Now, if you're Miami, you hope you get that move. If you're the Lakers, you're saying, well, I don't know, but we need a wing defensive player. We need somebody that can lock down wings because Luka and LeBron do not play defense. So you need a guy. Now, how ironic is it? LeBron didn't want to play with Wiggins when they drafted him in Cleveland,
right.
As the number 1 pick.
Traded him for Kevin Love.
Now here, full circle comes back. You're at the end of your career. Now here he comes in. He's going to possibly play for you in L.A. LA is trying to make some moves. They made that second round trade with the Bulls, the picks.
Right.
And they took the kid from, is he from Arkansas?
Yeah, wing defender.
Yeah, he's athletic as hell.
Yeah.
I've seen him play, man. He's, he got a high motor. He's got a high motor. He defends. He's NBA ready right now. And that's a good pickup for them.
Yeah, let's get back to the Eastern Conference. With the injuries that happened, all those 3 Achilles tears were all from star players in the East. So these teams are loading up. Orlando, with the Desmond Bane acquisition, they look like a team that could be in position to make a big jump this year. Obviously, Cleveland and New York were probably the favorites at the top, but a lot of teams are looking to move up. Atlanta making some moves. They got Kristaps Porzingis, which is really going to help. They got the kid Asa Newell in the draft, and they also fleeced Joe Dumars. They got a future unprotected number 1 for the Pelicans to move up 10 spots to take Derek Queen. New Orleans could be one of the worst teams in the NBA next year. They could win the lottery, get the first pick, and they'd have to send it to Atlanta. No protection.
No protection, and that could be one of those star players that they're looking at. Here's the deal. When you look at the Eastern Conference, it is wide open now, at least for this year. Because Boston's still not going to be Boston. They traded 2 starters. They traded Porzingis to Atlanta, and you got Drew Holiday out in Portland. Okay, so those were key contributors to that team. Okay, so. I know Porzingis, they were down on Porzingis with the sickness that he had, the mysterious sickness he had going into the playoffs, and they felt like that really hurt them because he wasn't 100%. It probably frustrated.
He barely played.
Yeah, it frustrated the coaching staff, whatever. But, to lose that kind of player, man, that's tough. That's tough. And then, no one's talking about Detroit. Y'all better start talking about Detroit Pistons, okay? They were the 5th or 6th seed this year? And legitimately had the sixth position locked up. There was no they're barely in. They were in solid. Matter of fact, they was talking them trying to get up to 4 at one point. Y'all better start talking about the Pistons. The Pistons, everybody's overlooking the Pistons. Do not be surprised if the Pistons make a big jump next season with that young talent now that's grown. They've got experience. They're going to get Ivy back next year, another key player, young player that missed most of the season with a broken leg. He'll be back next year. Do not be surprised if the Pistons now top 3 team in the Eastern Conference. And I'm not sold on New York. Because you fired a coach, and we talked about this on last show. You fired a coach who took you to the Eastern Conference Final the first time in 25 years.
Tom Thibodeau,
okay? Turned the culture around in less than 3 years, okay? You fired him. Who in the hell can you bring in behind him that's going to do better than him?
They're interviewing assistants now. They're going to start.
Man, listen. They listen. I'm going to say this again. They jumped the gun on that.
Mm-hmm.
They
probably thought Jason Kidd would come.
Yeah,
right.
they anticipated that they would be, because they're the Knicks and they're winning. Their team is close to a championship. Coaches will come running trying to be the coach of the Knicks. These coaches are looking at it like, wait a minute, you just fired a dude who's won 2 back-to-back 50-win seasons. He took you to the Eastern Conference Finals. He's changed the culture. You guys were laughing stocks before he got there. And you think I'm coming behind that? You don't ever want to be the guy that replaces the guy. You always want to be, especially if that guy was really, really good, you want to be the guy to replace the guy that failed. Then you come in and look like a savior.
And
you don't want to
messing with his players too.
Oh, well,
changing them and.
Well, and then their team, they question his ethics, about the grinding and the players going to be tired. Listen, it's basketball. It's your job. People work 40 hours a week. You think they go into their boss, something, my feet hurt? Can I take some hours off? And they're getting paid peanuts to support a family. And these guys are making $20, $30 million, and they're crying about how many minutes they play. Like, come on, man. Listen, we played this game. Our era, we played this game. We practice every single day. They don't even practice now because they're coddled. Oh, they need sleep. They need certain hours of sleep. Well, let me give them the news flash. Okay, when they're not practicing, okay, their bodies are not getting in condition to be able to go 82 games. Okay, you're asking your body to play at an optimal level every single night at a high pace. Okay, if your body is not conditioned, it's like asking Usain Bolt right now to come out and run a 100-yard dash against a novice person. He will lose and probably blow out both hamstrings and Achilles because his body is now rested and he has no longer prepared for that. So that's the same way in basketball. You go back and you look at in the 80s and 90s, guys weren't tearing their Achilles. We didn't have to tear. They want to blame the shoes now. Oh, the shoes are too low. No, come on, man. No. Maybe there would be an argument about that, but that's not all of it is. Your body, these kids don't take time off. They practice more in the summertime than they do during the regular season. When you should be letting your body heal in the summer and then working on certain things in the gym. They're playing in the Drew leagues. They're out here, they're paying these shooting coaches hundreds of thousands of dollars to put them through these grueling workouts. They work harder in the summer than they work during the year. And that should not happen. It should be the other way around. You should be working harder during the regular season, and then in the summertime, scaling back and letting your body heal, let your body rest, and then get yourself ready for the following season.
We talked a little bit about this in our breaking news update on Wednesday, but the situation in Utah, they took Ace Bailey, 5th overall. Danny Ainge and his son Austin said, if you don't want to come here tough, we hold his pick, you're going to like it. And I saw that he is going to report, is going to play for them in Summer League. I thought Utah, they're a team that has been at the bottom of the West. They were hoping to tank and get Cooper Flagg. That didn't work out. They dropped all the way to 5, but they got one of the top prospects in Ace Bailey. And then later in the first round, they traded up. They got that Walter Clayton Jr. from Florida.
Pick.
So you had those two guys. They got Lowry Markkanen. They've got some good young players.
Walter Kessler.
It's a team that in a loaded West is still going to be at the bottom, but at least they got some pieces now. Hopefully for them, Ace Bailey, flies right and turns into the player everybody thinks
he has no choice.
Yeah.
He has no choice. He's there for 4 years. He has no choice. So it's best for him, whoever he got his advice for. There's these texts going around, tweets going around of his agent. His agent walking around with, he's flossing with diamonds on and fur coats, and this is supposedly his agent. I don't know if his agent or not, but I've seen it. I just laughed, and somebody, the caption was, if this is his representation, he needs to change it right now. And you saw this guy, you're like, yeah, he probably does. He looks like somebody just got off the street at KFC or something. He's just, but he got some bad advice.
Yeah.
And, at the end of the day, it's a privilege to play in the NBA. It's a fraternity. There's only so many jobs in the NBA, okay? There's so many kids that are playing overseas that would die to have an opportunity to play in the NBA. There's guys in the G League who will never sniff the NBA, but they're there grinding, trying to get to this level. And then you get certain kids coming here thinking they're privileged, like, you need me, I don't need you. And what he saw very, very quickly is that, dude, we don't really need you. We got a ton of players. You haven't even shown yet you are even star quality. You're 18 years old. How about you go do the interviews, be responsible and do your job, be respectful. You don't have to work out. That's your choice. I don't want to work out, but I'll come do the interview process because I didn't work out for a lot of teams. My agent was David Falk. He said he preferred me not to work out because if something happens, you tear an Achilles or something like that, all of a sudden you fall out the draft. So I understand that. I get that part of it. But the competitor to me always worked out. Johnny Bach, I came here in Chicago, and Johnny Bach forced me to work out. I come in there, Johnny's like, I said, yeah, my agent says he doesn't want me to work out. I didn't bring any shoes or anything. You didn't bring any shoes? I'm like, no, I didn't bring any shoes. And he says, he goes, where are you from? And I said, Oklahoma. He said, the only thing I know from Oklahoma are queers and steers. And I was like, I wanted to fight him. I was like, dude,
man.
why would you say that to me? He said, he gave the P word to me. He said, are you a P? And I'm like, no. He said, well, then go get some shoes and go get some shoes and clothes on and bring your ass out here and let's work out. So I'm like, damn. So then I came out there and worked out. And just because he goaded me into it, he just kind of coaxed me into it. And that was the Holyfield Jackson. It all started the Holyfield Jackson fight. So one of those things led to another. So, but I did work out. And, it's in one of our old episodes of me and Phil Jackson's little tussle. I thought he was Dave Corzine, and I thought he was a player. And he came in. He turned out to be a future coach. Matter of fact, 2 weeks later, he was my coach. So, but you go back in a future episode, you can see that, hear the story of me and Phil battling it out under the basket.
Yeah, we're talking about Utah. I was just checking some of their stats. There's talk that they may be really active with trying to trade some veterans. Colin Sexton, a good combo guard, averaged 18 points a game. He could be available. They're also possibly looking to move Jordan Clarkson, who averaged 16 points a game. And then John Collins picked up his contract option for next year. He averaged 19 a game. So those three vets could be in trade talks.
I would take John Collins in a second. If I was the Bulls, and he's still young, I think he's around 25, 26 years old. A strong power forward, can score inside, outside, and very
his money's
athletic.
Reasonable. He's not making.
Man, I would call Utah on the phone right now. And what do you guys want for John Collins? And as long as it's reasonable.
No, it's not reasonable. I just looked. He's making $26.5 million.
What year is he on his contract?
I think it was a player option for this year, so that'd be the last year of the deal. So that'd be a guy that the Bulls might be considered because they're looking to try to free up the cap space for next summer. So
that $26 million is a big thing
to
swallow.
Big number.
But he's talented though. He is rim protector, rim finisher, runs the floor.
27 years old still. He's been around forever. But
you see, he came in as a young
Trained
kid
for Vooch straight up, 1-for-1 like they like to do.
Ain't nobody doing that, man. Ain't other teams ain't doing that 1-for-1 thing. It's like, hey, bro, you gonna have to take some trash back. you give us that player, but you gonna have to take some trash back.
Actually, though, the Bulls are kind of loaded at the forward position now. We're talking about all the guards. Now they have more forwards than guards. Although with the trade of Lonzo Ball, I heard our friend Casey Johnson talking about this, and it's been speculated because I talked to somebody that in the front office that said they really liked Tre Jones, so they may try to bring Tre Jones back. Problem is, though, if you're going to sign Giddey, we know that. The only question is what the number is going to be, and then you still got Io,
Kobe,
and you're going to bring Tre
Javon
Jones back.
Carter,
and Tre Jones is an unrestricted free agent, so if he's going to re-sign, it's not just the money. He's going to say, "What's my role going to be?" I mean, is there a role for him with this Bulls team?
Well, there is a role for him because you look at what role he had before he got injured. If he plays in that Miami series and he's healthy, we win that series. I mean, he was playing exceptionally well. Like, I was like, wow, I didn't know he was that good. He gets you in your offensive sets. He's a good defensive player. He gets you out in transition, knows to make the right play. He plays at a high pace, but he plays at his pace. He's not rushed. I love what Tre Jones brought to the table last year. I thought all those guys, you remember, Kevin Huerter, another guard. So all those guys we picked up from Sacramento with the Zach LaVine trade all contributed very, very well. They were a big reason why we were a better team in the second half. I think the Bulls recognize that. You got to find out what you're going to do with Vooch. Vooch could easily come back and say, "Hey, I like the direction we're going." I like the way the team played last year. I want to come back to that. He could easily say that. Maybe there's not a market out for him somewhere else, and he knows this. And he's like, well, I might as well stay here.
Yeah, but there's a couple of teams, good teams. Milwaukee's going to be looking for somebody to replace Damian Lillard for this year, and Dallas is going to need somebody to replace Kyrie Irving for at least the first half of the year. So he's going to have options out there.
Well, I mean, he's a good player, and both him and his brother. I mean, they're quality guards. Are they starters? Are they starters in this league? Yeah, they start on most teams in this league. I think people forgot how good he really was because once San Antonio, picked up Chris Paul, his role changed. But when he was out there and they put him out there at Wemby and they recognized that Jeremy Sohan is not a point forward, he's not a Draymond Green type player, turns the ball over way too much, and they never could get the ball to Wemby. So they finally put a guard out there that could run, they could get the ball to Wemby and get him in scoring positions. That really changed Wemby's season around once Tre Jones got out there.
Speaking of Wemby, did you see the pictures on social media? He's put on like 30, 40 pounds. I guess he's gotten into this meditation.
Yes, he went to go see monks.
Yeah,
Shaolin monks.
But, I mean, he is jacked. I mean, he is going to take over the league in the next couple of years.
Listen.
And they had a good draft, too.
It's getting ready to be San Antonio. Now, I don't know how good this coach is. I really don't.
Yeah.
I wasn't really impressed with him last year. As I felt like, he came in a very difficult situation to go under, to replace Pop. Mm-hmm. Pop is still in the picture at the time, so you can't really put your stamp on the team.
Now it's his program.
But Pop is still in the front office. So obviously, Greg Popovich had a lot of confidence in him to name him the starter, because there was a lot of guys off the Popovich tree that they could have called and said, "Hey, we want you to come in, coach the Spurs." But this is a very good team. They're going to be a very good young team. They've got to decide what they're going to do with De'Aaron Fox, how they're going to work that dynamic.
Yeah.
You've got Stephon Castle, who was Rookie of the Year, going in his second year. Now you got Dylan Harper there, who's a point guard. Are y'all going to play him at the 2 for the first couple of years of his career?
They still got Devin Vassell, Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, Calvin Johnson.
They drafted this kid Carter Bryant out of Arizona, nice 3-and-D guy.
Yes.
That is a deep team. They're going to be fun to watch.
And they're young, and they're athletic, and Wemby is on a planet by himself. Like, he is that guy. He is a superstar. He's just starting to reach his potential. Now when you talk about him adding weight and adding strength to his frame, I mean, he was already wiry strong. You didn't see Wemby getting pushed around like you saw Chet Holmgren get pushed around. Chet Holmgren got pushed around a lot. You didn't see Wemby get knocked on his butt and pushed around, but this added strength is only going to make him even more dangerous, because now what you'll see Wemby doing, Mark, he'll be in the post more. He'll still be picking and popping and shooting threes and bringing the ball up the floor, but you'll see him in the post more and maybe become even a better passer when double teams come, because I think that's his next step of evolution, is becoming a passer when double teams come, making quick decisions and the right decision.
So obviously Dallas, the big winner in the draft, winning the lottery and getting Cooper Flagg, who we all agree is going to be a fantastic player. We like San Antonio's draft. Utah did a nice job. In terms of teams that didn't do well, Joe Dumars completely screwed up in trading that future number one. But how about Portland? They took this kid from China, Yang Hansoon.
Don't sleep.
And
don't sleep.
7'1", 253.
Don't sleep.
We ran a clip yesterday. He was interviewed. He had an interpreter there. But they said, what do you like to do off the court? He said he likes to sleep, eat, and play PS5.
I'm telling you.
He fits right in.
He's a kid, though. He's like 18, 19 years old.
20, but yeah.
But I'm telling you, do not sleep on this kid.
They've got Ayton. They've got
Don't matter.
They've got Robert Williams.
Let me tell you something. Ayton, they don't like Ayton there.
Right.
Okay. If they can get rid of his contract, he's gone. Okay. Yeah. Williams is always hurt. He's been hurt since he brought him over from Boston. He has not been the same player. Klingon has turned out to be a very good, serviceable big center. Year 2 should be better. Mm-hmm. But this kid, boy, I'm telling you, they say he's the second best prospect from Yao Ming coming out there. He's got great hands, great footwork. He came in the Summer League and killed the Summer League. He was in the Summer League last year, killed the Summer League. I'm telling you, America. Remember, I told y'all that. Don't sleep on him. That kid can play.
Portland's been after him for 2 years. They made a trade on draft night.
Yes.
They actually moved down, but they took him at 16. Most people thought he was going to go in the second round. So Portland really likes the kid.
Well, but listen, I mean, everybody scouts players differently.
Right.
Just because one team likes someone doesn't mean another team's going to
Remember
like
when Dallas drafted Dirk Nowitzki? Everyone's like, who's this guy?
Yeah, who's Dirk Nowitzki?
It turned out to be an all-time great.
Yeah, Dirk Nowitzki. And I think Robert Traylor was in that draft.
Yeah, that was the trade.
There's a trade.
Milwaukee
And they're like, why did they
traded
trade Robert the Tractor?
Yeah.
The tractor didn't work. Okay, they went after
Tractor broke down.
Yeah, it broke down, baby. So they went and got Dirk Nowitzki. It's the same thing with Luka. You got a chance to take Luka number 1. That was a good draft. Luka was in. There was a lot of quality players in there.
Yeah,
but
Ayton
there's
went
no way,
one in
there's
that
no way in
trade.
the world I'm taking Ayton or Bagley over Luka.
Yeah, and
especially when you knew about Luka. If you're Vlade Divac in Sacramento, you knew about Luka.
Yeah,
You've known about him since he was a child.
And he's no longer working. In
No,
the front office.
and because your father and Luka's father don't get along, you let a personal beef interfere with what your job is to do. I don't care if my dad was arguing with somebody I was drafting, his dad. If this kid can help me win and turn my franchise around, hey, Dad, you need to chill. Okay, this kid can play. So you may not like this guy, but we're not bringing this over here. Okay, so this kid can play. And now they look back on it and they seen what Luka has done, 5 straight years on all NBA, all first team. What could have been? And not just them. Phoenix, they had a chance too. His coach coached them, was the roster.
Right.
He was on the roster in Phoenix and and didn't take him. Didn't go in there and beg him to take him.
Costa.
Didn't even go in and fight for him.
Yeah, that was a bad chapter for a lot of teams.
Bad.
That 2018 draft. That's going to be talked about for a long time. All right, so free agency starts Monday. Teams can begin negotiating with free agents at 5 p.m. We know how that works. There's no tampering, but everybody's got deals already in place. Mm-hmm. We expect the Indiana Pacers will almost immediately re-sign Miles Turner, which will put them close to that dreaded second apron. We're going to see a lot of teams just re-signing their own free agents. The Bulls, of course, will sign Josh Giddey. I don't think they're going to play that game where we'll go out and get an offer sheet. I think we'll hear that announcement within the first day or two with Giddey, and then we'll see what happens with Tre Jones. But you expecting big moves in this free agent period? Or do you think it's going to be kind of dull given that no teams have cap space?
Well, I mean, you can already see some of these powerhouse teams unloading guys. So if they're going in that direction, you got to figure a lot of teams are going to go that direction because they don't want to get to that second apron. So they're definitely like, okay, we need to shed some of this fat off our roster here because we don't want to put ourselves in that situation. And then, the following year we can't even be players in the draft next year, or we're not even going to get past the first round. So if you already know your team ain't going to get past the first round or you're a playing team, you might want to shave some fat. I would. That's what I would do.
Well, Mark Eversley met the media after the draft on Wednesday instead of Arturas Karnisovas, and Eversley kind of tipped their hand in saying that we don't expect to make any major moves. We're kind of doing a slow build with younger guys trying to play this up-tempo style. The Bulls have the full mid-level exception, which I think has gone up with the new CBA to close to $14 million. But based on Eversley's comments, I don't think they're going to use it at all. I don't think they're going to go out and sign anybody in free agency.
Listen, I'm telling you this. If I was them, I'd go kick the tires of Dwight Howard.
That's an old
I would
player.
go. I'm gonna tell you something. I'd go kick the tires of Dwight
He's playing
Howard.
the big three right now.
I don't care. I've seen him work out. He's in shape.
Yeah.
He can block shots. He's rim protector. I'm gonna tell you something. He's better than a lot of centers in this league right now that are playing and getting paid a lot of money. And I'm not saying you wouldn't have to pay him a lot of money to get him here. And he would be thankful for being here. One thing he's gonna do, he's gonna rebound. He's gonna block shots. He's gonna rim protect for you. And he's been working on his outside shot. And I've never been a big fan of his because I never thought, I thought that, if he would have taken the game seriously, he could have been an all-time great because at the early part of his career, he was dominant. And, the last time you actually saw him was with the Lakers, when they won the bubble championship. He did a job on Jokic.
Whispers, I got a project for you. Look how old Dwight Howard is.
Yeah.
Look how old Dwight Howard is. Yeah, he was an outstanding player, led him to the finals in 2009. That's
you don't need him to
long
start
time
for
ago.
you. You don't need him to start for you. You need him to play that Andre Drummond role. Because you've got, like I said, I still like Jalen Smith. I like, Collins. I like that. Those two guys, two young guys. But you have a veteran like a Dwight Howard that you can get for cheap. You can get him for a bag of Doritos and a Fanta Orange. And you bring him in here, plays 20, 25 minutes a night. And if he's which he's always in shape. If you watch him, he's always in shape. He's going to block shots for you. He's going to rebound. What do you have to lose?
How old is he, Whispers?
He's under 40. He's 39.
Yep. Listen, man. And same thing with Michael Beasley. I'm like, I don't understand.
Stacey wants to bring the big three to the Bulls.
I don't understand. Listen, I don't understand how guys like Michael Beasley, who are proven scorers, guys who can get buckets, and teams who need guys to get buckets, whether you put them in that, 6-man, 7-man role coming off your bench to give you buckets, I just don't see why teams don't give a guy like that a chance.
They just don't fit in teams' systems. They're black holes, one-on-one players. They don't really fit in with 4 other guys on the court.
I don't know, man. Listen, there's a lot of guys out here, one-on-one players in this league. A lot of ISOs, okay? But here, you where the league is now, we just chucking up threes. So what's the difference?
Yeah, it's interesting. Eversley, in his comments on Wednesday, he was kind of asked about the future, and he kind of tacked off a bunch of players that are going to be here back next year. One of the guys he mentioned was Vooch. And there's been all this trade speculation about Vucevic. It almost suggests that there is no interest because when he rattled off 5 or 6 guys, they'll be back next year. Vooch was one of them. So, you got Vooch, you got Zach Collins, you got Jalen Smith. You still have 3 centers, and none of them are ideal fits with the way they're playing. Collins kind of fits with that up-tempo style, but the other
Jalen Smith does too. I mean, Jalen Smith is a pick-and-pop guy. He can run the floor. He can block shots. I mean, when he got minutes, he played really well. Billy, the one thing with Billy, like a guy could be playing 10 games really well, okay, and then get hurt, and then go to the bench and he's hurt for a week. And then another guy comes in, feels for him, and then he plays good for 8 or 9 games. And then Billy tends to ride that guy all the way through because, Zach Collins wasn't getting no minutes at all, 0.
Well, then Vooch
got
hurt.
And then Vooch got hurt, and then he was put out there to play. And then both him and Jalen Smith played really, really well. Then Vooch comes back, and then Zach gets minutes that Jalen Smith was getting.
Yeah, Smith didn't play then.
And it was really kind of weird because it's like, wait a minute, the kid is playing really well. I mean, like he's blocking shots, he's rebounding, he's shooting threes. Like, how does he fall out the rotation? And a lot of that happens, like I said, Billy has a tendency to do that. Guys, he'll go with the hot guy. If a guy's playing well on Tuesday, most likely he's going to play on Wednesday. We saw it in the game where THT came in against Oklahoma City. He hadn't played in like weeks. And then all of a sudden we're down by 30, and he goes out there and scores these buckets at the end, and all of a sudden he's back in the rotation and never left again.
You're going to be seeing that again this year because they're going to have 15 players that all are going to ask for minutes. It's going to be very difficult to try to find minutes for everybody on the roster.
The best players play. Simple as that. We're not in grade school where everybody gets a participation trophy. It's the best people play. The best people at their position are going to play. Don't matter who it is. You put the best guys out there, it's going to give you the best chance to win. Now, we can't forget the fact that it's still developmental, okay? And I said this on the score yesterday. I was on the score yesterday talking to Mullen and David Howe. Mm-hmm. And one of the questions came up, how will Billy play, Noah? And I said, well, hopefully he'll play him, give him some minutes because you have to develop these kids. If Modest would have been playing more consistent minutes in the first half, he might have been Rookie of the Year. He might have been Rookie of the Year. I know he would have been first team all rookie, but he might have been Rookie of the Year. And I always joke the best defense that Modest saw was Billy. And, Billy's like, Billy's like, well, he's not playing defense. He's not playing Well, newsflash, there's a lot of guys out there don't play defense on this team. He ain't the only one. So I mean, I'm just being honest. Call a spade a spade. You're putting all this pressure on this kid and he's not playing defense. Now, granted, I know rookies coming in. I mean, even 4-year rookies, when I came in, as a rookie, defensive concepts in the NBA is totally different in college. College, you just run around trapping. We press the full game, block shots and rebound. But in the NBA game, there's so many different aspects of the defense. The rotations, blitz, pick and roll, push up and go underneath, trap the corner, where your rotation. When you come out of the trap, where are you going? So you have to know all those things, and you have to know what multiple people do. And it's normally harder for young players to get a grasp of that because it's already hard enough for them to just get one of the concept down. But you asking them to get 10 concepts down, plus be out there playing in an NBA game where it's 1,000 miles an hour. Everything's super fast. It starts to slow down about year 2. Year 3, it really slows down. But your first year, man, it's like you're on the Autobahn. Beep, beep, everything's going super fast. So if he plays the rookie, which he should, because I think defensively he's ready to play. Now offensively he's raw, but I think defensively and getting out in transition and running, you got to get that kid at least 20 minutes a game. You got to give him 20 minutes a
I
game.
wouldn't be surprised if he gets some G League time early because
Oh.
they've got so many forwards right now. Asenge may play some
He playing for me.
with the Windy City Bulls. And
He
then
playing for me.
another guy I'm going to see down there is Lachlan Olbrich. He was the second-round pick, 55th overall. 6'9" forward, played with the Illawarra Hawks in the NBL. They won the championship. And this kid is an old-fashioned bruiser. He looks like a guy at a pickup game. That just take the ball and Bogart guys knocking him over, trying to score. I don't know that he necessarily has an NBA future, but I guess they're going to sign him to a two-way deal, and he'll be playing for the Windy City Bulls.
He looks heavier than 230.
Yeah.
He's got listen,
old
he's-
school
hey,
kind of guy.
Hey, listen. The video I've seen of him, he got quick feet, he got good hands, and he can get up and down the floor. And he's in the same system that Giddy played in as a youth, moving up the left. So, I mean, all the people I talked to, I'd like to get Luke Longley on the show and then give us a report on him because Luke would know. Luke is in that area. He's watching those NBL league, I think it's called. He's watching that, and he would be able to give us a good report on how good this kid is.
And he's going to wear number 47. He's the first Bulls player to wear 47. The only guy I can remember
is that his
wearing
draft
that.
spot?
No, he's 55. Andrei Karolinko, remember AK-47?
Oh, yeah. Man, who picks these crazy numbers, man? Like,
I don't know.
47, 76,
102.
101. I'm like, oh my God, they're horrible. Come on, man, get some real basketball numbers, man.
So it'll be interesting to watch how these guys develop. Summer League starts in a couple of weeks. The Bulls' first game is July 11th. They're going to play 4 games in the initial round robin. Then you get a 5th game based on where you finish in the standings. And
Is that in Vegas?
yeah, Vegas. So they'll be playing that. That starts July 10th. The first game on the schedule is going to be Bronny James and the Lakers going up against Cooper Flagg and the Mavericks. Made for TV matchup.
That's no matchup. It's no matchup.
Well, not going to be guarding each other, but
No.
those are the
Well,
two
Jason Kidd's already put it out there that Cooper Flagg's going to play some point guard.
Yeah.
So he's already put it out there. He's going to play some point guard. I think that's asking a lot for him.
Yeah.
I think if you
He said he wants to make him feel uncomfortable.
Well, I think there's nothing wrong with him being a point forward because I think he has the ability to do that. But being a point guard, I think that's asking a little bit too much.
The summer of Bronny awaits.
And you might be onto something with Beasley. He guess how old he is?
He's as old as Derrick Rose. He's in the first, probably a year older, probably like
36.
37.
36.
Yeah.
36. I need him for short term. I'm not signing to no 4 or 5 year deal.
And George Gervin is coach
Listen,
of the Knicks.
Stacey's just lost his
Let me
general
tell you
manager
something.
hat.
No,
Dwight Howard and
America,
Michael Beasley.
America,
You want
America.
Joe Johnson
no,
back?
America,
He's
America.
available.
He'll bust a lot of these dudes'
ISO
asses.
Joe?
Yeah, he'll bust a lot of these guys'
like
asses.
42,
Let me tell you
I
something. Let me tell you something, America. There's nothing wrong with bringing them to camp to see what they look like. Okay, and if they can impress you in camp, you sign them to a 1 year deal. I do it. And what do you got
heard
to
it
lose,
here, folks.
What do you got to lose? You get a rim
The
protector.
rebuild is on.
You get listen. I guarantee you. Listen, I like Vooch, but if you ran a 40-yard dash with Dwight Howard and Vooch, Dwight Howard's winning that race every day of the week and on Sundays. Okay. Yeah.
Guess we're not getting Vooch on the show.
Yeah.
All right, I think we got to cool Stacey off. Time to take a break. First, I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, our good buddy Jeff Vukovich, for all your insurance needs, auto, home, and business. Make sure to reach out to the best in the business, our good friend Jeff Vukovich. You see him at all the games. He's regular at Bulls games at the United Center. You can reach him at jeffvuk.com. That's VUK.com. The phone number 847-825-4783. Cisco, you
where's the
asleep
graphic?
over there?
You
Where's
sleep
the
on the
graphic?
wheel?
People want to see how they can get a hold of him.
Come on, buddy.
Watching on YouTube.
How you sleep with the lights on?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there you go.
There's
An
our
hour
handsome
late.
friend, Jeff Vukovich.
Oh man.
847-825-4783. Give Jeff a call. Tell him, give me the hot sauce sent you, and I'm sure he'll give you a special deal.
Jeff, Jeff pays for to have his pretty face on the thing.
That's right.
And we're sleeping at the wheel over there. Come on, man. Calls on one of our sponsors.
No, Cisco's doing a great
Nationwide
job. We appreciate it.
Is on your side.
A higher octave on a Saturday.
Yes. I'm very
Let's get the heat.
talented. Very
The
talented.
weekend version.
Very talented. Very talented.
All right, so we'll talk about some odds and ends, some football, baseball when we come back, and also let you know what we're watching on Give Me the Hot Sauce. Back on Give Me the Hot Sauce, we were telling you about some of the early moves with teams trying to re-sign their guys. One we didn't mention, we talked about it in the break. Naz Reid, a 5-year, $125 million extension with Minnesota. Now, he was the sixth man of the year a year ago. Good shooting big man, very productive player. hey, I'm not against anybody getting their money, but obviously when teams say we can't afford this or that, here's a guy coming off the bench making $25 million a year.
Man, I'm Lois and James King. If y'all would have just put me in a little cryogenics, froze me, little embryo, and then just unthawed me in like year. What do we say? 20.
Well, we can't do the math. Remember,
it's 20-something, 24. No, 20.
It's 2025, so you could just go with
I got
2005.
20.
How about
Yeah,
2005?
2015.
2015.
Yes,
we're doing the math
no,
again, right?
No, because I'm gonna grow into
so
the
you're saying
next
you want to get
phase.
signed in like
okay.
37.
Yeah, I want to in 30. Yeah, exactly.
okay.
Just wait for the money to
I'm
keep
just waiting for the
going
money
up.
to keep going up. Man, this is real. Oh man, Lois, James, I love y'all, man. But y'all could have watched some TV. Just ease up, baby. Just ease up.
So we'll be watching some of the signings next week. We'll bring it to you here on Gimme the Hot Sauce. Caitlin Clark has been out the last few games, and she's been struggling with her shot. And I heard something on the radio when I was driving in, talking about her not, why she didn't make the Olympic team. And the talk was that, she hadn't established herself as a WNBA player. What a crock.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, the hate is still out there. It's
Listen.
still going strong in year 2.
And listen, I love Sarah Spain. Me and Sarah Spain had a little war of words on Twitter about that. Because I said, when the girl knocked her on the floor, and then Sophie Cunningham stood up for her, right? Yeah. And I said, where's her teammates? Why would her teammates stand up for her? She's the star player on the team, and you don't let your star player get attacked by anybody, okay? So, she said I was spreading hatred, because I said, why do these girls hate this girl so much? What has she done to make you hate her? If you hate her because she's flamboyant, she talks trash or whatever, then stop her. You can't.
Well, because she's getting all the attention that they've been
and she deserves
craving
it
over the last decade.
She deserves it. I mean, if you saw her in college basketball, I mean, listen, Paige Bucher's coming in, she's getting attention. These young kids that are coming in and all these older WNBA players who didn't get the attention are upset. They're mad. They're haters, okay? These young guys, wait till Juju Watkins comes in. You talking about somebody going to garner some attention. She's like the next Jordan coming in. So these new girls coming in, they're getting a lot of attention. Listen, get a girl her flowers, okay? She made people want to watch the WNBA. If she wasn't good, then why is it that every team tried to get their games put in a bigger location for fans?
Right.
Why is that? They're not doing it for any of these other girls. They didn't do it for the Las Vegas Aces when they were winning all these championships. Oh, everybody wants to see the Aces. Let's put it in big venues. The Chicago Sky, they're playing at the United Center. Mm-hmm. When has that ever happened?
Never. It was first
and
time.
It was because Caitlin Clark effect. Every team has used her to sell tickets. So you're mad at that? Don't get mad at her. Get mad at the teams that are promoting it. She can play. If she couldn't play and she was overrated, I'd be the first one to say she's overrated. She's not that good.
I can tell you who's a big fan of Caitlin Clark, the young lady that Stacey mentioned, Sophie Cunningham. She's the one who stood up for her. You see where she's blown up on social media? She's getting huge following. She's getting endorsement deals.
She should.
I mean, she's gone from being a reserve to now being in the spotlight because of the whole Caitlin Clark thing.
Well, let me tell you something. And, a lot of people said, oh, that was cheap shot, Bush League that she did that. Why didn't she do it? I said because if you ever play pro sports, they always catch the second person. You can't always retaliate at that moment. If there's a lot of time left in the game, I got plenty of time to get you back. It's just not going to happen right now in the first quarter, second quarter, but I'm going to get you back at some point.
Like Danny Ferry, the way you got him.
Well, you know what? Let me tell you something. Listen, and I said this to Sarah. When you're on a team, you have each other's back, okay? You're not going to let somebody walk up. I'm not going to let somebody walk up and slap Michael Jordan in the face. No, nobody on our team would. Even if you didn't like MJ, we're not going to let you do that. We're going to slap you in the face. And then we're going to slap another person in the face. Mm-hmm. You hit one of ours, we're going to get 3 of yours. Danny Ferry, you go back in that game 5 in Cleveland, Danny Ferry was sent in for that particular reason, to get MJ ejected, to come in there and do something dirty. And we all knew it was going to happen. We just didn't know when it was. And he came in that particular time and literally threw a punch at Michael Jordan. And they wanted Michael Jordan to respond. And Michael held back and almost let it go. He held back. Okay. We got to the locker room. Oh, it's done. Oh, he's getting it. Next game 6. Oh, it's a done deal. He's done. So we had like a little bounty on him, and Phil was like, okay, look, We don't know when he's gonna come in, but when that SOB comes in, get him. I don't care who it is, whoever's the closest to him, get him. Yeah. And so they didn't play him till like the end of the game. So we were like, okay, bounty's still on. so Will was guarding him. See, I'm the one who took him down. I'm the one who gave him the beat down. Yep. But Purdue was guarding him. I was guarding Hot Rod Williams, I think. And so he went back door, and I'm looking. I'm on the other side of the court. And I'm looking. I'm like, okay, is Will going to get him? Is he going to take him down? Will didn't move. So I'm like, oh, man, oh, hell no. So then I had to run all the way like a free safety, okay? Came flying there like Jack Tatum. Took him out, brother. Took him out, slammed him, choked him, grabbed him by the neck, wham, threw him on the ground. I will say this. Cleveland was kind of like Indiana was. Like, you could tell the players didn't really like Ferry because really nobody came to his defense except Steve Kerr. Most players would come in. I got into it with Dennis Rodman. I got into it with Ralph Sampson, and the bench is cleared, okay? But Danny Ferry, nobody really came to his aid. So I walked in front of the Cleveland bench, and I kept hearing this little voice, that's Bush League, that's Bush League. And it was over about 20,000 plus screaming, right? But I heard this one little voice. It sounded like nails on a chalkboard. It was Steve Little Kerr. Steve, his little butt was on the bench talking trash, and I walked by the bench because I was daring somebody to do something. Yeah. Like, do something about it. Do something about it. No one stood up for Danny Ferry. That told me that his teammates didn't like him. So then Steve Kerr comes rushing over, and he's in my face barking, rah, rah, rah. You know, that's a Bush League. You know, you should be thrown out. I say, man, you better get out of my face. Get out of my face before I choke your tongue out. And he's like, do it then. And then you'll see me. I grabbed him by his little throat and started squeezing him. And me and Steve are cool. That's my boy. But we had some good games in Arizona and Oklahoma back in college. But he was the only one that stood up for Ferry. Yeah. And that showed us that a lot of people didn't like Danny Ferry. And that's what I'm kind of thinking with Caitlin Clark, is her teammates may not like her for whatever reason. Because when I'm here, she's a great teammate. She's a very good teammate. But there's so much jealousy and envy of this girl. And it's like, come on. Yeah. The pie is big enough for everybody. If Indiana's winning, and yeah, she's going to get more attention than everybody else, but she's shining a light on everybody on that team. Everybody's going to eat because she's eating. Mm-hmm. That's the mindset you should have. The whole WNBA should have that mindset. You think Michael Jordan didn't have to face this kind of stuff? Michael Jordan faced this kind of stuff when he first came in this league. He was so much better than everybody else. He was must-watch TV, and he had a lot of people hating on him. A lot of the older players didn't want to give him his flowers, didn't want to say, give him the respect that he deserved. And that was like the first 6-7 years. And then people started saying, okay, all right, same thing with Kobe. Oh, Kobe's a ball hog. Kobe's this, that. Now Kobe's considered one of the greatest players to ever play, along with MJ. So you're going to have your haters when you're good. If you don't like her, stop her.
Yeah, as Stacey mentioned, Caitlin Clark, by all accounts, been a great teammate. She's been injured, missed the last few games. Last night, she went around the lower bowl of the arena, signed autographs for everybody. You know, she wasn't able to play, but she wanted to make sure that her fans who came out to see her, got a chance to meet her, take a picture, take an autograph, and that's why people like her, because she's accessible. She's not a her nose up in the air. She's coming to the game dressed with all this craziness on. Look at me. She comes in and she's in like the most plain outfit. She's not coming out there in the fashion show. She's coming out there as a killer. Right. She doesn't care how she looks. As long as I put that Indiana Fever jersey on, I'm here to bust your butt. I don't care about nothing else. I don't care about how my hair looks, if my nails are done, if I'm wearing some tight clothing, revealing clothing. I'm here to kill you. And that's the kind of player that Michael, Kobe, these guys who have that killer instinct, she has that at the female WNBA level. She's a killer. Anybody can come down the floor and shoot like Steph Curry. She's the woman version of Steph Curry. Yeah. She got handles. She can shoot from anywhere on the floor. There is no boundaries with her. There's no out of distance with her, okay? I always like to tease the Denzel Valentine range. She really has Denzel Valentine range. The difference is she can hit that shot, though. She can hit that shot, Mark. I'm a big fan of CC, okay? I'm a big fan. And I like Angel Reese. Listen, I love Angel Reese. Angel Reese is... people, they make fun of her a lot, and they have the me bounds and all that other crap, okay? She's cashing in big time.
Okay. Yeah. Angel Reese is like a talent, okay? She just has to determine what does she want to do? Where does she want it?
She
want
wants
to be,
it all.
She wants the social media part. I want to be the model. I want to go to the model shows, or do I want to hoop? Because you can have both, but you also got to know which one is the most important. And I think sometimes, with social media and the likes and all that, you get caught up in that because these kids are growing up in a different era than what we grew up in. They're worried about what people say about them. They're worried about, likes and dislikes and how many followers they got. You look, I've heard stories in the locker room where guys are looking and seeing what people are saying at halftime about them.
Yeah.
You got your phone at halftime worrying about what somebody on Twitter said or someone on Instagram. When you should be worried about what you're doing in the next half to try to slow Steph Curry down. So it's a different era, man. Different league.
Hey, we bring the show to you every week from our luxurious studio, Tim's Place of
luxurious.
Business here in Palatine. As you notice all the
Luxurious.
memorabilia behind, Tim was out collecting stuff lately. He's got over his shoulder, I don't know if you can see it real well, but he's got all the championship replica rings from Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. That's a great piece there.
Yeah, it's a really cool piece.
The reason I bring it up is I saw something this week that I saw it yesterday. Michael Jordan's rookie card, a Flair rookie card that was autographed, sold at auction for $2.5 million.
Oh man,
completely nuts.
$2.5 million.
Man, if I would have known what I know now,
you would load up on
man, I would have loaded up on all kind of autographs. You know what? It's funny. As players, we never thought of that.
Yeah,
we never thought of that. But after seeing what some of these, oh man, woo.
I know you try to find bargains when you go to different auctions and stuff.
Yeah.
But some of the stuff is really pricey, isn't it?
Yeah, but you get lucky sometimes, and some neat stuff in here. But
yeah, what's your favorite thing that you got?
Well, I tried to buy one of Stacey's rings off him because he's got 3 of those that are in that box.
Wow.
But he wouldn't make a deal with
not
me.
Happening,
That's not
brother.
cool.
Well, let me tell you, he's got Mike Tyson boxing shorts up there. They haven't been washed. and so thank God we have air freshener here.
Plenty of blood on that.
Yeah.
And behind Mark is Buster Douglas.
Yeah, Buster Douglas over there.
Those got washed though.
Yeah, those got washed. But the Mike Tyson is a little ripe in here, ladies and gentlemen. They look cool, but
Eddie Belfort's stick from when they got swept in the playoffs.
One of these days we'll get a mobile camera. We'll
get a mobile. We got Pete Rose over here. We got Pete Rose jersey, Singletary, Urlacher. So if you ever get a chance, bring your children to work day. You come out here and check out the studio. We'll give you a little walkthrough of our little podcast. I'm telling you, yeah. It's a pretty remarkable place. We've been in some really interesting places when we've taken our podcast, but this is the best place that we've been.
Tim's really dressed this up.
Yes. It turned it from where we started in the beginning to where we are now. It's completely different.
We're like professionals.
If you check out an older episode, we were all on our computer with single shots. And
we had
John,
gold microphones.
John and Susan were sharing a camera.
We had gold microphones. Looked like a bunch of pimps. Oh man, I'm telling you, man, we've come a long way, America. Yeah. We done moved to the big time, baby, the podcast world, baby. we went from doing Twitch. We're on YouTube now. We got it on YouTube. So if you missed this episode. Now we're on TV.
Yeah.
We're on CHSN, baby.
Yeah, so check us out on the Chicago Sports Network. Now available on your Xfinity cable. So check us out. I think our normal slot is Tuesdays at 4, so I hope everybody checks that out. Before we get out of here, time for our regular segment. What are we watching? Whispers, you want to start us off?
I saw this crazy documentary called Titan. It's about Ocean Gate. So you remember the guy who was creating the...
Is it a submarine?
To take you down to go see the Titanic. And it's a wild documentary. Stockton Rush was the CEO who created it, and he wanted to be like the next Elon Musk kind of guy, or a Jeff Bezos type, and very arrogant, full of himself. And he paid the ultimate price.
Yeah, this was no Gilligan's Island. This
no.
was no 3-hour tour.
This is serious. And then a billionaire and his son, and then a very famous French explorer were down in there.
Yeah,
they knew it was going to happen.
Oh no! Can you imagine?
At some point, they knew.
Yeah, the crazy story is that the engineers kept quitting, walking away, like this is a death trap, and so they just kept quitting, and then finally, and they're just
what a horrible
and he
event.
did it a couple of times, and it didn't happen. So in his mind, that's not going to happen. So they went down that last. Oh man, could you imagine? First of all, I would get claustrophobic.
Oh,
it's very small.
Just to start.
Because like when I turned my ankle, I went into those hyperbaric chambers, which is like a submarine.
Yeah.
And you're sitting in there, man, and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get out of here. Like I literally started, hyperventilating because it was just weird.
You wouldn't have been able to handle this. They sit Indian style.
No.
And
no.
So they're all like basically on a platform, and but they knew it was gonna happen. I mean, they knew like in the next couple of trips it was gonna happen because the sound meters for safety kept going higher and higher, spiking through any safety range. And they're just hey, let's just go again. And the
Oh my
poor
gosh.
passengers had no idea that this risk was there, and they were literally eviscerated.
He was driving it with like a joystick.
Basically like a PS2
Yeah,
controller.
with a joystick.
I mean, it's just nuts.
And then to go to the bathroom, you had like a little. It was like you had to go to the very back, and that was very difficult.
Yeah.
So like
Crawling over other people.
Oh man, can you imagine going to the bathroom there in that little bitty old submarine?
Yeah, well,
And imagine imagine when it was when it was missing and they couldn't find it. Okay, could you imagine what it would have been like for those people knowing and he probably didn't even tell them there was nothing wrong. He probably
they had no idea they were at risk.
He probably was just like he knew something was wrong, like this was bad, and didn't say anything. And then man, that's the families of those people, man. Oof,
and the sound of that implosion was heard 800 or 900 miles away from an underwater mic.
Really?
Yeah, and they play that recording in the documentary. It's wild.
Just horrible.
Yeah, I was watching that, Tim. It was very fascinating. I was like, I fell asleep. And then I was like, I got to finish watching the rest of it because it was very interesting. The guy was just a crackpot. Like, he was just
nuts.
He argued with everybody. His way was the only way. And just a crackpot of a guy. I would never got in there with him. I need to see qualifications. First of all, you would never got me in that little submarine. Unless it was like a Navy submarine, one of them big ones. And even then, it would be hard for me to go in one of those. But at least I felt safe with that.
Would
you know
you
what
go
I'm saying?
up in Bezos' big phallic symbol?
No.
No.
And you know what? I just saw on the internet where these people went up in Brazil in this hot air balloon and it caught on fire. They were up probably 1,000 feet in the air. People were jumping out of the basket, and then the whole thing just came down. And I'm like, this is why you'll never see me on air. And I told my buddy this other day because he was laughing. I said, you never see black people doing things like this. You don't see us doing this jumping off cliffs. you don't see it. You don't see it. There wasn't a black person in that balloon, and I would not have been in there. I think there was a black person in that submarine, though.
Oh, they were Indian billionaires.
Okay, then there wasn't a black person there. And then, see, it goes to the old adage, Mark. If you watch horror movies, the black guy's always the first one dies. Yeah. He never makes it to the end. But that's not reality. reality, America, the black guy is going to run. If I hear gunshots, I'm not going to go out and say, was that fireworks? Is it 4th of July? What day is it? Hey, Mark, did you hear fireworks? I'm like, I'm going to get my keys. And I'm going to tell y'all, I'm going to tell you slowly, Mark, go the opposite direction of the fireworks. We're going out the door. Anybody want to go with me? If you want to live, follow me. And we're out the door.
Like Eddie Murphy said, all those years ago, that's why there's no black people in horror movies, because when they say, get out.
Oh,
like,
you
hey,
got to tell me once.
Gone.
You got to tell me once. I'm out of here.
We're
it's
gone.
true. It's true, man. It's true. I hate to admit it. It's true.
All right, Stacey, what do you got?
You know what? I'm a big Dale Earnhardt fan. I know you guys didn't know that, okay? I'm a big Dale Earnhardt fan. NASCAR racing, the Intimidator. This is it's a 4-part series I think it's on Prime, and they go to his early years. I tell you what, he's a fascinating man. He's a fascinating man because, like, when I first started liking him was when he was the Intimidator. When he was like, you see him race, and he just didn't care about anybody. But they go through his whole life. Like, his dad was a racer, and how poor he was, and he had no sponsors when he first started. He had to come on. That's when Richard Petty, the King, was the main guy. And he had to, work his way in, win races on these little stockyard places to move up to the Winston Cup Series. Just a fascinating guy, and everybody thinks he's this bad dude, like he's a really bad guy. You hear other drivers talking about, because he didn't mess around out there. Like, they believe he caused more wrecks than anybody. Because, he hit you. And if you was in his way and you was like not going fast, he'll bump you, and then your car will go out of space. He just go ahead and win the race. He was a nasty driver, but he loved his family. Showed Dale Earnhardt Jr. in from a little boy, getting his sister getting involved in racing. It's a family business. Just a really good documentary. Gives you a different perspective of who he really was as a person, and I loved it. It was a great show.
I had a chance to watch this series on Prime. It's called The Better Sister with Jessica Biel and Elizabeth Banks. This is a crazy story. These two sisters were estranged because they were both married at different times to the same guy. So one sister got divorced, and then the other sister married him. And they thought that the one sister had drug problems, and that's why they got divorced. It turned out the guy was terrible, And so, the whole thing is how it goes full circle, and they get some payback on the guy.
Who's hotter?
I like Jessica Biel.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah,
both of them are good though.
It's a really well done series. There's a lot of twists, and I'm not gonna be like Stacey and tell you what happens.
Hey, don't try to throw me under the bus. Don't you try to throw me under the bus, Shadowski. Okay, I can't wait.
Usually when Stacey gives a synopsis of these thrillers, we know what happened at the end.
It's not my fault if a movie came out in 1989 and you haven't watched it yet. I'm sorry. I'm gonna tell you exactly what it is, and you need to take my word for it and watch it.
Yeah, I didn't give it away in Titan, did I?
Well,
yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
There was no mystery there.
There's no mystery.
We knew what the ending was.
Yeah, we know what the ending was going to be. Yeah, no end there.
But anyway, check that out. And The Bear is back on FX and Hulu. About the Chicago restaurant. Season 4 has just started, so you want to check that out.
It's on Hulu?
Yeah. It's an FX series that's produced, and it's available. All episodes now on Hulu. So we'll talk more about that next week, and we'll let you know what's going on with NBA free agency about to begin. We know that the Bulls are going to sign Josh Giddey. It's just a question of terms, years, and length, and we'll see what they do. Tre Jones is also out there as a possibility, and maybe there'll be a surprise or two, but because very few teams have cap space, we don't expect a whole lot. Whispers, tell folks how they can get some of the best hot sauce.
Why don't you do that?
Yeah, just get your fingers to www.gimmethehotsauce.com. That's GIMME. Use the codes, and if you order now, you'll have plenty of barbecue sauce and hot sauce for the 4th.
4th of July.
Get some fireworks in your mouth.
Hey,
wait, come on now.
Whoa. Hey,
we're not allowed to say that stuff anymore.
Yeah, women and children watching this show there, buddy. I just made some wings the other day with the hot sauce. Oh, that was delicious. Oh, America. I'm telling you right now, if you haven't tried my hot sauce, trust me.
The air fryer with 1871.
It's the best hot sauce you'll taste. It's thick. It's not water-based. It's very thick. You can put on everything, pizzas, burgers, steaks, soups, whatever you want. You can put on there, eggs. I tell you, it's awesome. I love it. That's all I use in my house. My kids are like, hey, man, you need to make another hot sauce run. I'm like, hey, you know what? You don't need to worry about that. If you stop eating it all the time and use it every freaking, we'd have some left. Like my older son just drowns his stuff in it. I'm like, hey man, you just need
Puts
little
it on
drops.
A cereal.
Yeah, just need little drops, bro. Just need little drops. You don't need to pour the whole bottle on there. Yeah. So I keep it stacked in my house in secret places.
Go to GimmeTheHotSauce.com and put your order in today. And we wish everybody a happy 4th of July. Be safe out there and enjoy yourself. And we'll be coming at you with a brand new episode of Gimme the Hot Sauce next week. Until then.
Your favorite podcast's podcast show. Driving home safe in Chicago, BB.
He didn't come for the massage, he came for the facial. Don't shoot him. Does anybody know how to post videos to Facebook? There's a block right reminder to get the invitation. That's a huge three. Mustard. Lonzo left alone. Gimme sauce. Able to swerve, bend that corner. That's the last time I'm going to say it. Williams straight on. Giants.